So with that, I am really looking forward to this presentation. This is Mindy Kerr with Mindy Kerr Coaching, and she's going to talk to us about leadership and some of the problems that she's uncovered. And Mindy, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Are we good on the microphone?
Nope,
Okay.
you've got
No,
it
no,
there.
I meant for him. Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. This is my second location so far that I've been able to share with 1 Million Cups, and thinking about the people that I want to hear from, and I don't want to. I was telling Jim, I don't want to diss my small town the area that I came from, but I've got bigger plans and bigger horizons here. So I just wanted to come into Orlando and tap into this amazing group of people. I already love just the whole, I hate to say the word vibe, that's just a lame word, but whatever. I love the vibe of this 1 Million Cups. So I'm excited to talk to you guys and hear from you guys today. So my name's Mindy, and I operate, CEO, President, Vice President, Secretary, Treasurer of Mindy Kerr Coaching, and I am a leadership and consultant coach. Now, there are a lot of business coaches out there, but I do something completely different. We're going to talk about what that looks like. But real quick, just a quick get to know me real fast. This is my family. They're amazing and awesome. My husband is a sheriff's deputy for Seminole County, and I got two amazing boys, Matthew and Casey. So that's us right there. And I'm a leadership consultant and strategist. I have a background in ministry and pastoral leadership. Been doing that for almost my whole life. But over the years, I just realized that I have other gifts, other passions that have kind of merged with that. And I've had just very naturally a lot of years of guiding people through emotional and relational complexity. I am a person that wants to know why you do what you do. I'm not satisfied with behavior modification. I want to know, how did we get here? And that has now merged into a focus on leadership blind spots, emotional drivers, and decision clarity. So lots of business coaches, but this is a little bit different take on what I do. Across leadership environments, I've repeatedly seen capable leaders with strong values and high commitment still facing recurring team tension, burnout, and misalignment. Traditional training addresses skills, so there's a lot of personality assessments, a lot of gifting assessments, all that kind of stuff, which is great. There's a place for that, but I wanted to go into a different place. So there is a gap. That's why it's called a blind spot, because you don't see what's in the blind spot, right? So that's what I'm there to do, is to shine a light on that. A lot of people think they're killing it. You talk to the people that are working for them or working with them, and like, no, they're not killing it. They're killing the rest of us, but they're not, So that's literally the space that I go. So anyway, we'll get into more of that later. But so this is my business. I'm more in an early growth consulting practice stage, but also looking for like mid-market businesses to work along with too. So my core framework is the Leadership Clarity Pathway. That is a whole program that I've developed. It's a structured diagnostic and advisory process that reveals blind spots, stress behavior, decision distortion, relational impact, and culture ripple effects. That's where the money is at. That's where turnover happens. That's where cost happens. Clarity before strategy and culture change. A lot of people want to fix their teams, but I start with leadership first. So the problem I solve, I work with organizations, invest in their leadership training, their systems, coaching strategy, yet they still struggle with burnout, trust erosion, leadership bottlenecks, and disengagement. So here's my target client, and then that will lead into my challenges and open the floor for your feedback today. Small business owners with growing teams. There's a big gap with businesses that kind of started as one or two people, and now they've brought on a staff, and they're like, what is the culture of what this has become? Because it just kind of happened overnight. A lot of times people's teams and their business outpace their leadership. And that's a sweet spot for me. Senior leaders because I don't know if you guys hang out on LinkedIn, but most LinkedIn posts are not saying, I'm really burnout and I hate my job. Most leaders are not posting that kind of stuff out in front of everybody, because that's just not what you do. It shows weakness. And again, that's the places that I go. HR and people culture leaders, and then faith-based and values-driven organizations. Those are some areas of people that I am targeting. That might be a little broad, so I'm trying to kind of dial that in a little bit. Especially leaders who say something feels off, but I can't see it clearly. That's what I'm there to help people do. All right, so this is what's working right now. I have a strong diagnostic accuracy. I use something called the Enneagram, and that is a tool that I use that really helps me dial in on people's personalities. It's scary accurate, honestly, and that combined with my experience and my own personal skills has really made a great framework for that. Meaningful leadership insight, high resonance with leaders who go through the process. What is still developing? All right, my market language clarity, which I am literally almost every day trying to dial that in more and more and more. Trust signals for new organizations. And that, again, is going to lead into a couple of my main struggles this morning. It's really hard Jim said it a minute ago, word of mouth and relationship building is the best way to grow a business, to build credibility and build trust with people. So even kind of shifting my whole mindset about social media and things like that. I'm very, very present on social media, but I don't get a lot of trust that way per se. It's more for that one-on-one. And then a broader small business traction. So this is my current challenges. The first one is what words or phrases best connect with small business owners, senior leaders, people that are working with teams when describing leadership pain, friction, and blind spots. So I'm wanting to know from people that are living it, doing it, working with people that are operating at a high functioning, especially high functioning senior leaders, CEOs, what hurts right now? What hurts in the workplace? Because what I'm trying to do is communicate the problem that I solve. Now, it's not because I don't know what problem I solve. I'm just saying to make that connection and make that trust with people and to make people feel seen, understood, and validated on a surface level before I get the opportunity to sit down with them and talk to them. What are people looking for? What is the desire out there right now? What makes them say, that's exactly what I'm experiencing? And then the trust question. How would you recommend building trust and credibility with small and mid-market organizations and high-functioning senior leaders when offering high-depth leadership diagnostics? High depth, meaning it's going to go to places that you might not even have the language for yet. That is the rock and hard place that I'm kind of at right now as things are kind of catching on is, I know that if I sit down with you for a few minutes, I'm going to be able to unpack a whole bunch of stuff that should make you say, what, have you been talking to my friends? Have you been reading my mail? That's just what I do, okay? But how do you convey that to somebody who doesn't even know those things about themselves yet? So that's all I have for this, and those are I'll leave my two main questions up there for right now, but definitely open into your feedback, and I'm going to be back up here in a little bit to talk about a few more things. Yes?
Really fantastic. Sorry, everybody, I didn't mean to interrupt. Really fantastic. I was so excited to see that you were on the schedule because our organization actually just started using Enneagram. So we unfortunately missed the one session that was available so far, but we're thrilled to get into it. Mm-hmm. I've recently gone through this myself, so I'll share with you a little bit of my experience to answer these questions. Say again? Okay. I developed very rapid trust with somebody that I was a little skeptical about because of his price point, because I started listening to his content and I'm like, he's reading my mind. So I think you're hitting on right here. The struggle point that I'm in right now is what Jim just said, right? The 3 feet from gold, the hard middle suck. It doesn't seem like it's ever going to get any better.
Yeah.
But I only know because people have gone before me and have said, you have to everybody does this. They feel like it gets a little too hard and then they quit. So if you can just make it through just don't quit today. If you want to quit tomorrow, you can quit tomorrow. But today you don't get to quit, right? And then every day you wake up and say, just today I'm not going to quit, right?
Yeah.
So to go with that, and how do you build that trust and credibility? I would recommend continuing to produce content that speaks to the people's brains, right? Like, the questions and the struggles that you see over and over again. Just put out a wide range of content that's 30, 60, 90-second videos that say, are you asking yourself this question? And you don't even have to, there's no need to have a call to action or pitch at the end of it. You can just literally say, are you asking this question? I talk about this all the time. You should follow my channel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just very simple like that. And then you might want to, are you doing like a good, better, best, what's the word I'm looking for? Seminar model?
Right now, I have my framework is called the Leadership Clarity Pathway, and it has like 3 tiers, if you will, as far as like phases. You
Okay.
can go all the way through all 3, or you can do the first 1 or the first 2, that type of thing. That's my main model. I want to be in more seminar mode. The thing that I am actually going away from is not feeling like I have to. At the very beginning of my business, I thought I need to explain the entire Enneagram so everybody has a big understanding of it all. It's too much.
Yep.
It's incredibly complex. People are incredibly complex. So I'm kind of like putting this over here as just a tool and wanting to get more in that mode. But I'm also trying to have like the foundation laid first.
If you could develop a less than $100 one-day workshop that sells your other packages, people can see your work and build trust immediately. I would say do that. I see that again and again, and it works like crazy.
Okay. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming. Rupert Magnot from Orlandopreneur. So the first language question is not something that, let me back up. So you're doing what the previous 800 people that have been through here are doing. So trust me, that's still good company. You're focusing on the features and the benefits. What somebody was really interested in when they speak with you is how are you either going to save time, save money, or make their life better. And so your first statement out of your mouth should be your quote unquote elevator, which is a 5 to 15 second thing that hits them between the eyes, and says, this is, my name is Mindy, and I'm with this company, and I do this, right? And when you say that, they should start getting a feeling like, oh, wow, that sounds right up my alley. Then you go into asking them a question or two or whatever, or just go into your social pitch or whatever. So, because value is what people buy, right? And so features and benefits, anybody can spout those all,
Right.
ad nauseum. But if you really help them understand what that value is, then you're golden.
Here's what you get, right? Like here's the results that you can expect.
Okay, so okay, yeah, how's it going to make?
Feeling? I'm going to take away
Right.
your pain.
Right, I'm going to take away your
I like
pain.
that.
I'm going to make your life, I'm going to put spring back in your step or whatever. Just whatever is the result of what you do, and how that impacts their life. That's what. And as far as the trust question is concerned, referrals and testimonials, I'd be throwing those up left and right all over the place. So those are the things that people like and so forth.
Thank you.
Okay.
Perfect. So while I'm walking up here to Eric, I would agree on what you've heard here. From my training, one of the things that's most important is when somebody says, so what do you do? I work with business owners that have problems. They're looking for consultation help. They're having problems with debt collection, and a lot of them don't understand the contracts and documents they're reading. Does that sound familiar to you? And you find out whatever their 3 primary pain points are. So if you have a specific industry that you're focusing on, master that industry. What do they have problems with? Like I work with a lot of dental offices. So you find out what's the problem in those with that person. It's not going to hit everybody, but if you have somebody that has one of those problems, they're going to go, I need some help with contracts, which is probably one of the biggest challenges that business owners have. So, kind of create that.
Right, and I think that I'm trying to also like absorb what other people are talking about and posting and read between the lines and that type of thing. And turnover is a big expensive thing that is painful for a lot of companies. And I think that turnover isn't just like on paper. There's no like mathematical formula for it all the time. A lot of time people are just the culture of their business is they've had enough and they leave, you know. And I'm trying to like, let's play the movie back and figure out what went wrong back here to make this person say adios. And it's centers around leadership. So again, it's a lot to unpack, and finding that sweet spot of that 15-second, you know, here's what I do. I'm constantly trying to refine that, you know, to not, you know, go too into the weeds. You know what I mean? Yes, sir.
To sort of piggyback off of what Rob and Rupert were saying, and since Rod McKenzie's not here, I will say it. Stories are going to be your best way. But not only that, but personal stories that show that you are vulnerable and authentic. You're not perfect. You don't have all the answers, and you need to talk about the times that you didn't, and then how you saved that and recovered from that, or how somebody else made a mistake and you helped them recover. But anything that makes you vulnerable, people are more likely to trust. You could also, if you're ever having a one-on-one with people, do you remember the, several years ago, the 30 questions to make you fall in love with someone? Ask them a couple of those, you know, those deep questions. What, if you could have one quality, if you woke up tomorrow with one quality, what would it be? Or what has been your lifelong dream that you would do if money were no object? And ask them those kinds of questions. And it's a little Machiavellian, but you can build a closer relationship with that person because you've asked them questions and they have answered questions that they don't tell people. But they feel they've built a rapport and shared something secret and precious with you. They are more likely to feel like they can trust you.
Thank you.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Must have been on the same wavelength. I was literally thinking about stories just before Eric said that. So specifically, I was thinking about testimonials, though, in regards to in the same story to illustrate who you are and part of your journey and how your journey has led you to be this unique person who can help them. But then also the examples of specific transformations about this one. You don't have to use names, but this one person who is an archetype that the audience can put themselves in their shoes and see, like, and then kind of just empathetically sit in this person's experience and then tell the story of, hey, this was someone I worked with, this is what their challenges were, this is where they're at, and this is what, you know, and giving that really tangible kind of testimonial gives a framework for them to see, do I fit into those shoes? Could I see that story being about me?
Yeah.
And that just, it's another way to help simplify and hit the target a little bit faster to see whether or not it's a fit.
Yep, perfect.
Beautiful.
All right. You know, something else while they're talking about testimonials, one of the gentlemen I used to work with in the mortgage industry, what he did was he created a separate phone number, and so he'd close a loan, and he would have that person call in to that phone number and leave an audio testimony, because we all know today people would rather sit there and send you a video or send you a voice message or a voice text instead of having to sit there and type out an email. And that worked really well because now it gave him audio, and it was like, hey, this is Ron's testimony line. Thank you so much for leaving this, you know, whatever his message was. And he got tons of that, and he used them all the time in his marketing.
So I think you got a lot of great advice. You talked about social media strategy. So everything that everyone kind of talked about right now, I mean, you got a mix of a lot of different kind of posts that you can do, right? Testimonials, I think the important thing that everyone kind of touched on a little bit was about telling the story and coming from that aspect of it, like through that, 15, 30 second, 60 second posts that you're doing, you want to take that person through that journey, right? Of hitting their pain point, giving them the solution, and showing the value in it. So, I think that is what I wanted to say. I don't know if that was everything, but I hope that was helpful.
Thank you.
Just real quick, because I know I had it already. I know Shane wants to go too. I think we've danced around it, and you might have had it on your previous slide, but what are your top 3 leadership challenges that your process solves?
Leadership blind spots is the biggest one, okay? And that, again, I was mentioning this, that when you talk about blind spots, it's like a semi truck going down the road, and because they have a big gap right there and they run somebody off the road, that car is now in a ditch, and they just keep on cruising down the road, right? So that's what I'm addressing. That part right there that they're not seeing, that's causing conflict, communication breakdown, culture,
So what's the
unhealthy culture.
result of the blind spot? Because the trouble with a blind spot is you don't know what you don't know, so you
Right.
don't know that you need
Right,
help
right,
with something
right.
you don't know about.
And I will be honest with you that I am trying to flip things over to the end result, not just the process. The process kind of speaks for itself, and you can go on my website and find the process. In fact, even just yesterday, I was doing some SEO optimization on my website and added like several things in there that extracted some of those things that people are literally like, please help, this is
Yeah.
what's going on. Then when we connect, that's when we can uncover, here's how we're going to deal with that. But that's what I'm trying to flip this thing over kind of on its end and say, okay, we're going to help you reduce turnover because it costs 1.5 times what the salary of an employee in order to bring somebody new on. Okay, so instead of, here's a story, if you will, but like I just talked to a gentleman the other day who's like, I keep hiring the wrong people. And he has to keep retraining, rehiring over and over again. And through our conversation, I'm like, okay, you are a heart-driven person. You are hiring out of emotion. And, so I mean, we were able to unpack it all.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why this is happening. And so.
But that's not to cut you off, but that's the reason
yeah.
they don't know. So what you need in your
Right.
elevator pitch is, so you know how executives are always fighting turnout, they're always fighting stress, and they feel like all their people are angry at them all the time?
Yeah.
Well, there's something going on with them that they can't even see, and that's what I help them with.
Yep. Love it. Yep.
Here, pass forward to Shane.
Thank you. You have a great concept there. You would rather find out top guys. Right now, the problem is at the top. Top is the bottleneck.
Yes.
Okay, and you should be positioning yourself one person, if possible, and figure out a way to unstuck them.
Yes.
You don't have to do too many things. You have to figure out why he's stuck. And you have to give a solution, the unstucking it. It's all here, 6 inches
Yeah.
between over here.
Yes, yes.
That's it. You have to unpack that. And I can talk about that separate, okay?
Yeah.
I will help you out. Thank you.
So I've got on the second question about trust. So something I learned a long time ago is a concept called make and keep small promises. And what that is you're in groups, you're in entrepreneur, Orlandopreneur, you're in places where you meet somebody. So one of the things that I do, I'm a big reader, and I always get multiple copies of books. I just ordered 50 books called Untrapped that I'm going to do this with. So let's say we met somewhere and we had a good conversation, and I said, I've got a great book I think you would like. It's called Untrapped. I'm going to get that over to your office tomorrow before 5. And show up 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Hey, it was a pleasure meeting you. Here's the book I told you about, and maybe a little note on it, okay? That immediately is going to say, this guy's credible, this guy does what he says he's going to do, right?
Yeah.
So just little things like that you can do that will help create that trust, because now you're showing trust. And that's a huge thing. That's how you can shortcut some of that.
I have a personal branding book you could do
Okay, good. Then we will talk about that. All right, so 20 minutes here is up. So just tell us, what can we, as the Orlando community of 1 million cups, do at this point to help you move forward?
Well, this is a 6-minute pitch for this environment, right? So I would love, ideas, opportunities of places that would be open to somebody like me coming, not in presenting like I presented today, but actually present useful, helpful leadership content that would be useful in different situations. Honestly, anybody who is leading people applies to this. It doesn't matter who you are. So any ideas of people, groups that are meeting that welcome outsiders, if you will, to come and present, that's going to be probably one of the greatest ways of me making connections. And then anybody that's open to sitting down with me and learning more about what I do, because I really want to come in here in an environment like this and be 100% teachable and be a sponge and absorb. I'm also hearing some of the things you're saying, and I'm like, oh, but you haven't seen my social media yet. You haven't been on my link. You haven't read my website. So I don't want to be like defensive, like, well, actually, I'm already doing, I don't want to take that mode, but I also value authentic connection with people, and I'd rather you get to know me, hear my heart, hear my passion. The gentleman in the back was talking about, and both of these guys here were talking about like my own personal story of what brought me to doing what I'm doing. I love sharing that story. I can't share it here in 6 minutes, so definitely welcome opportunities to be able just to talk with you guys and hear what is going on specifically with you, not just, but with you as a person. That's what I diagnose as people at the soul level, so, which is scary. A lot of people don't want anybody looking at their soul, so.
All right, well, thank you very
It's
much.
vulnerable, but yeah,
So,
anyway, thank you.
So like the old saying goes, stories sell, facts tell. So
Yeah.
it's a good thing. Stories are great. And then there was, John Maxwell. I love John Maxwell's quote on leadership. He said, if you think you're leading, turn around and look. If no one's following, you're just out for a walk.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, talking about good books, I'm reading right now The 21 Irrefutable Characteristics of Leadership. And Maxwell has a way of screwing with your head. Let's just put it that way. Because he really gets, the way he phrases his questions, the way he presents his books and his concepts, it really makes you have to sit down and think about it and take a little bit of time and dive into it and, journal. If you don't journal, I highly recommend that you keep a journal of things that you deal with, things that you read, what did you learn, and then use it as a way to go back. I love keeping a journal, and then I'll go back and review my notes, and a lot of times I'll transfer it. Most of the time, Jim Rohn always did stuff on a pad, and then he'd go back and review his notes, and he'd transfer it into a journal. And when he was always asked, why are you spending so much money on a journal, on an empty book? He goes, so I can fill it with great ideas. So that's a good thing. So our second presenter, Maurice, is not going to be here today. He called me yesterday. He had something came up that he couldn't change. And he's presented here before, but he's come a long way since he's been here, and he wants to come back and share that with us. So we scheduled him in April. So he'll be back in April. So we have a couple options. I've asked Mindy, and this we're going to ask you guys. She's willing to give us about 10 to 15 minutes of just some leadership tips, something that you guys can literally take today and apply into your business. So that's option one. Or the second option is you guys can have an opportunity to answer a couple questions and share some information about yourself, which is just basically tell us about like who is your ideal client, or if you are doing any type of marketing, what works better for you in social media. So you guys tell me, would you like to hear from Mindy and get some stuff you can use, or would you like to share as a group? Option A, option B. Tell me. Give me A. Who wants A?
Why don't we do both?
If we can. We got about 15 minutes. What's that? I didn't hear. What'd you say?
Well, Rupert suggested, can we do both?
We can try to do that. we'll figure it out.
Sure.
So,
All right. All right, we'll go fast. You want me to still use this one or use
yeah,
this?
no, use that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna shift modes now, right? So diving deeper into what I do, the thing is that you don't know what you don't know, right? So there's a lot of us kind of walking through life, doing the things that come absolutely natural to us. We are born into default. And the reason that we've experienced frustration in our relationships or with our teams is because we wake up every morning in a specific perspective, and when other people that are coming from a different perspective are not in alignment with it, it creates friction, it creates frustration. Why do they fill in the blank? Why do I want with this person? I want to just, but you can't because you're supposed to be professional and everything. But I will tell you that an example from my perspective that I've lived my entire life, you know how you have moments in life where you're like your entire life kind of flashed before your eyes. You're like, oh, okay, all these points in my life suddenly make sense. I told you that I'm a person that wants to know why. I want to know why somebody got to where they are, why they act the way they are. If somebody is harsh or abrasive, I'm going to find out why they're harsh and abrasive, because to them, they don't think they're harsh and abrasive most of the time, all right? If someone is timid and shy and quiet, they might not be shy. They might be afraid. They might want to just be trying to keep the peace. There's so many other reasons why. And a lot of times, a lot of leadership is about behavior modification, which is great and wonderful, but uncovering why is so much more important. So I'm going to tell you about my perspective and things that have been frustrating to me. I would love to know if you are in this boat, okay? It's easy to say, oh, we're our own worst critic. Okay, well, that's true. But there are some people who the critic voice never shuts up, all right? And it's constantly correcting, realigning, saying you should have done it like that, you should have done it like this, you said that wrong, that was inappropriate. And it sounds like a perfectionistic way of looking at the world, but really it's something much deeper than that. That's what I struggle with my entire waking hours is battling that all the time. But I worked with somebody, and I'm very much a integrity, values, right and wrong, black and white, follow the rules person. Do you know what? Not everybody looks at the world like that. I am black and white, and there's a whole lot of high-level dreamer, vision-casting leaders who look at the world in gray possibility, all right? And I worked with somebody like that. So you put a black and white person with a person who is like, is that really what it says? Is that really what it means? I mean, I think we could probably, I'm not a loophole person, I am not a shortcut person, but I worked with somebody who was all of those things, right? On the surface, both of us very driven, very ready to get things done, very responsible, efficient, all that kind of stuff. But boy, our drivers behind all that, completely different. And I'm a person who wants to let's get things out in the open. Let's take personal responsibility for everything. And he is a person who wants to cover and wants to protect his image and all these kind of things. But on the outside, we can look like two just very driven leaders. And those are the things that I'm trying to lift up. So let me give you an example of why the why matters. Micromanaging, let's talk about that for a second. That is a common, hey, you need to stop micromanaging in your business. That's a common problem, right? There's plenty of problems, but that's one of them. And so there's plenty of, like I said, I'm trying to be a student of LinkedIn. There's plenty of posts that talk about things that make a toxic work environment or make things psychologically unsafe. Well, micromanaging is something that can drive people away. Do you know that there are also some people that prefer to be micromanaged because it's safe and secure for them? But when we talk about the leadership level, because everything rises and falls on leadership, people do not micromanage for the same reasons. And we'd like to think that it's just something that we need to show you, here's how to stop doing that. But if you don't get to the why it's happening in the first place, then it will eventually creep up and repeat itself again. So there are some people that micromanage for the sake of the responsibility that rests on them for the result of the project, okay? And again, sometimes people are not realizing they're doing this, it's just automatic. Then you have people who are micromanaging because they want to help. and they think that they're helping. They're actually being intrusive and overbearing, but they think they're helping, okay? So that feels hovering and overpowering and micromanaging. That's how it's received. And then you have other people who are micromanaging because they are trying to protect their image in the process of this project, okay? The end result is going to make them look bad or make them look good. So to take their hands off of something runs the risk of them looking bad to their peers, to the people that are watching them, whatever. So now it becomes an image-driven issue. And then you have people that micromanage just because they want control, just pure control. And if you've ever worked with somebody like that, their face might have just flashed in your brain just now. You know, they purely just want control. You could also have someone that's literally driven by fear. Nobody wants to admit that they're driven by fear. Nobody wants to zone in on that, okay? Nobody wants to talk about that because it's incredibly uncomfortable. But if you're driven by fear, then you're thinking, if I don't do this, then this might happen. And if I don't control this, this might happen. If I don't do this, then this might happen. And it seems very efficient and it seems very safe. But to the person that's on the receiving end of that, it's like, can I just please, would you just trust me so I can do my job, right? So the why someone is micromanaging is just as important. And I'm just using one example of one point of conflict in a work environment or in a project or anything like that. Getting to those blind, those are all blind spots, but they all happen for different reasons. And so if you, just using coaching as an example, that's why if the person that just wants control is micromanaging, then we got to get to the root of where that control is coming from, why they feel like they need it. We got to get to the root of the fear. We've got to get to the root of the image protection and the mask wearing and all that kind of stuff. We've got to get to the root of everything's got to be right all the time, you know? And if it's not right, then everything falls apart and life is over, you know? So I just challenge you that even in areas where sometimes you don't think about it because, again, life becomes just survival and you just do your thing day in and day out. But if you feel like you see patterns inside of you of how you lead, how you communicate with people, and that's not just in the workplace, but just your relationships in general, you know, what are some recurring patterns? Because there is a reason why. If you feel like you can't speak up in a boardroom, there's a reason why, you know, and it's not the same for everybody. Some people aren't just shy. Some people are scared.
Would you recommend, is there any tools or something that if somebody thinks, hey, I might be micromanaging, or things that they might be able to use to help spot weaknesses like that? Are there any tools or things you could recommend that could help them?
Yes, it's called www.mindykerrcoaching.com. There's not a quick, thank you. There's not a quick fix. I mean, because again, people are incredibly complex. And most people live their entire life in cruise control, and they expect, a lot of people honestly, especially in the United States of America, expect everybody else to adjust to them.
You know, there's one thing I just want to throw out based on my career. You have to work with the right people in the right spot. You have to make sure that you surround yourself always with the right leadership. That's the best tool. That's what I have learned in Mexico and Hawaii and all those places I lived in, because it's not the language, it's attitude. Okay, so, but she got a good point when she announced the website right now. That makes sense.
Yes, sir.
If I may offer another reason why people micromanage is they just don't know how to manage.
Sure, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
in the game industry, for example, they promote the best technical people, right? So a really good artist is all of a sudden there's the lead artist leaves for whatever reason, and they promote the best artist to be in that position. But then now she's sitting there and she's micromanaging. Like if somebody does something and she doesn't like what they do, then she fixes it herself.
Sure.
Right? Instead of going back to that person being a manager and saying, can you make this better? Can you do this?
Right.
Let me show you how to do it. Follow this process or whatever.
Right, right.
And so, and entrepreneurs, We assume that we know everything.
Right. And the inverse is also true as far as management in general, that somebody is so like, you guys got this, you're amazing, check in with you next week, you know, and it's like, everybody's like, what? Some people are like, awesome, and other people are like, what, you know. So anyway.
Mindy, I really like what you're doing, and there's a need. And I think the hard part of the business that you're in is you're taking a concept that people can't see and trying to show that in a picture. And that's probably one thing I think we all suffer with is, I'm really great at what I do, show me. But it's a mindset, it's a concept, it's a feeling, it's a behavior. You just said about micromanaging. If you said to all of us, what is micromanaging, you're probably going to get 20 different responses. Something that might help is a video of you showing those types of micromanaging, so when somebody watches you, they're like, that's exactly what my boss does, that's it, that's it. And you can literally, and you see them all the time on Instagram and stuff, where you have the same person talking and saying, hey, how are you? And you're like,
Right.
I'm fine, what about you? But especially if you have kids, and they all have iPhones, and you could be, you know, dressed in different clothes, and it could be a different video, but I think somebody would watch your videos and say, oh my God, Mindy, that's exactly what happens at work.
Right. Well, but here's the thing. I've got plenty of people that will say, that's my boss. What I have to get to is the boss saying, oh gosh, that's me.
Yeah, that's
Crap. You know, so that's the place, because I can deal with teams all day long that are saying, please help us. And I've done that before, where the CEO was in the room while I'm doing a full day seminar, while they're on their phone doing something else, and the rest of the team I'm supposed to be there to fix them. And I'm like, I stopped that immediately. I'm like, I'm never doing it like that again, because if the leadership does not recognize that the weight of the culture of their team rests on their shoulders and that they're training them.
yeah.
The bad news about that is that self-awareness is rare.
I know. Yeah.
The good news is there's so many of them that are aware.
The market is
Your
hot
business-
for this. It is.
And so that's why you have to focus
Yeah.
on shouting, here are the symptoms of
Yeah.
your issue that you don't know is your issue.
Yeah.
But you know how you've been fighting the battle against this for your entire career?
Yeah.
I have the solution for you. Now, I'm not going to mention that you're the solution, but
Yeah.
I have the solution. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great idea, because you can use some of the video idea, like you see them all the time on LinkedIn and stuff. Just a great way to, you know, little 30-second snippets where people can click on it, see it, and you're passing it on to them. Go ahead.
Well, that goes back to when you started, when you're saying why people micromanage, and going back to the video too. It's because if I,
That's good. That's fine.
okay, thanks. Because if I see a video where it says, you know, about micromanaging, like you said, because everything falls on your shoulders, and if you can make or lose your job or your business if they make their own decision. If I start hearing that on a clip, I am going to identify to that and want to hear more. So it's not why this guy is a micromanager or this gal is a micromanaged. It is the symptoms of why I would be micromanaging in different situations.
Yep.
And then with those short clips it brings my awareness.
Right.
Am I doing this? Am I doing it because of that? And then that opens the door a lot easier for you. And then, of course, I'm going to start looking at what other clips are there, because
Yeah.
this person is reading my mind.
That's what I want to be, as a mind reader. That's my goal.
But you had those.
No, I'm
how you
serious.
started, that is gold. I mean, you have it very well defined. And so just do short clips on that, because the managers will identify themselves on some of those comments that you make.
I'll tell you something. I know we're watching the time here, but I'll tell you something that I just watched catch on my social media platforms recently, on all of them actually, even LinkedIn, TikTok, everything. But I did a video about sarcasm and how it is a tell of an insecure leader. And I must say, yeah. But no, that thing caught on, and I'm guessing it's probably a lot of supporting role people that are like, that's my boss, you know. But I unpack though why sarcasm is a tell for insecure leaders, because really, honestly, some of the most confident leaders are the most insecure ones. But again, who's talking about that publicly. So I want to make it a safe place too for people to talk about that stuff as well.
Great
All right,
stuff.
thank you.
Or you could have been a fan of Mad magazine and snappy answers to stupid questions. I'm guilty of that.
I think them in my head, but I try not to say them out loud.
Okay, we got to run. So these are some of our sponsors here that come in to help, and this is a total nonprofit, literally non-cash intake organization. Everything that we provide, from the giveaways to the donuts to the coffee and everything else, is all donated from our sponsors that are here. Make sure that you like, follow, and share. If you got some pictures today, please post them on social media. Let people know that you intend. Invite them to attend. We meet every Wednesday at 8:30 till 9. We have a little meet and greet, and then from 9 to 10, we get to share what we heard today from Mindy, from a couple of presenters, to be able to help us grow together as entrepreneurs, and more importantly, even to help them grow to do that. So make sure you connect with someone. Yeah, you're going to talk about next week. Yeah, I'll get it. I got a slide actually for that. I remembered. So connect with somebody. Okay. So the whole thing on connecting with somebody is, like we talked about earlier, the best advertising is word of mouth and connection. But also remember, it's when you're talking with somebody, it's also who do they know that you might need to know, or who do you know? Yeah, who do you know, or who do they know that you might need to know? So that way you have an opportunity to get to meet other people that might be able to help you get to another step in your business, or who knows, even introduce you to, a big client or somebody you need to meet. And there's a lot of great little coffee shops around. Rupert, you got about 15 seconds if you want it for a Citrus Club.
Hey everybody, early entrepreneur, largest, most popular entrepreneur and small business community in Central Florida. And we already have 130 plus RSVPs for our event in 12 days at the Citrus Club. People come there. Who's been there before? Need I say more? Right? And so
Who signed up for next week?
who signed up?
2 weeks.
Yeah. Who's been there many times? Right? So the thing is this is an opportunity for you to meet other people, like-minded people, as well as potential customers, potential joint venture partners, and potential investors. Any potential that you want, that's what we have. Or that's what we offer. So you can RSVP here. We've had 120 RSVPs in the last or new members in the last 2 weeks.
Awesome.
Wow.
So, we hit 5,000 and then, whew, right? So
awesome.
we look forward to seeing you at the Citrus Club on the 16th, and that'll take you to the site, and you can get all your information there, or from me.
And one of the great things is when you go to an event like that, it doesn't have to be Orlandopreneur, but any type of event like that, one of the best things you can do is go in with the mindset of, I want to meet 3 to 5 people that I could sit down and have a conversation with or a cup of coffee with. Okay, when I go in, I do not give business cards. I'm sorry, I ran out of a card. Okay, connect with them, get their information, because I'm sure you've all experienced this with, hey Sean, could I get your card? Or no, you don't have one. Oh, here's mine. Yeah, I'll call you. I want to talk with you. And you never hear from them, and you don't know how to get back in touch with them again. So get their information, because you can call them if it's going to lead to something meaningful through a relationship like that, or having that conversation with somebody. So it's important going in with that mindset. Next week, we do not have a meeting here, because the facility has already been rented out. And so we're going to take a break for a week, unfortunately, but that's the scoop. So make sure you put Orlandopreneur on your calendar, because you won't get a reminder for it next week on Wednesday. Okay? So we've got that all done. So we'll be back on the 18th of March. And when you come, why? You want to attend, apply to present, prepare. We'll walk you through that information. We'll send you a little rubric and help you kind of understand the flow of what this should look like, and then share your information. Did you learn anything today from the audience?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay? That's what it's all about. You don't even have to have a functioning business. You can have an idea. This is what I'm looking to do. Here's a problem I've uncovered. This is what I want to do. Here's where I need help. That's what we're here for. Why do you want to do that? Because of marketing and brand awareness. Now we know what Mindy does. If you can think of anybody that would fit her demographic of what she's looking for, drop her a line. It's a great way to do that. Practice and feedback, because it'll help you grow. Hiring and retaining talent. Creating strategic partnerships. I think that is one of the most overlooked pieces of getting together and going out and doing events like Orlandopreneur. Because you may not have, this person may not be somebody that you can do business with, but again, they know people that you need to know. It's important. Do that, okay? Think like that. Strategic partnership. How can I refer you business, and how can you refer business? What's a complementary agency for you? When I worked in the mortgage business, I was always partnering with financial planners. Why? They need somebody that did what I did to help their clients. Those are important things. And I needed, when I had clients to come in, said, hey, you need to talk with my friend Scott. Here's how he can help you. Okay? And then also get to know you is important. These are our organizing committee. If you're on the organizers, please raise your hand. So if you have any questions about wanting to present or what it takes or anything else, come see one of us. We're happy to help you. And then I'll leave you with this closing thought. There's nothing more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Ray Kroc said that, the founder of McDonald's. You can't find success at a convenience store, and the only time success comes before work is in the dictionary. So it takes work to where you want to get to. So don't quit, just like we've heard several times today. You have to have that mentality. Quitting is not an option. All right? With that, go kill it. Have a great day. Great week.